Well, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for joining our town hall meeting regarding the implementation of House Bill 2844 in the Austin-Travis County area. All verbal communication will be simultaneously translated into Spanish. So if you are speaking today, everyone that is the presenters, and later on at the end of the presentation, you have questions, speak not super slow, but slowly enough the interpreter can pick up what you're saying and then translate that into English, or into Spanish, excuse me. So what is our agenda today? We're going to talk about the purpose of this meeting. We're going to talk about the brief overview of House Bill 2844 and the July 1st, 2026 transfer of licensing and permitting authority to the state of Texas, otherwise known as the Texas Department of State Health Services. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to say the state. That's a lot to say in one line. We're going to talk about how implementation will work locally and how the city of Austin and all of our departments will support this variation of permitting. The order of meeting will go like this. We're going to have share some brief information from the state about their roadmap to get a mobile food vending permit and how to do that. Then next, we're going to hear from the city of Austin and how these departments, maybe Austin Public Health and Austin Fire, and how they're going to support this variation of permitting. And then also at the very end will be a time for question and answer. So please hold your questions till the very end, and we'll make that known and go forward from that. Well, let's talk about some history. So 35, 40 years, we really can't put a clear finger on when the exact date is, when Austin Public Health started licensing and permitting mobile food vendor units. But House Bill 2844, it's changing that. It transfers authority from local health departments in Texas and gives it to the state. And that begins here shortly, July 1st, 2026. So I want to warn everybody, and not so much warn, but gets a little, just remember, if everybody can have patience, there is another cook in the kitchen now. And so the process to obtain a mobile food vending permit might take a little longer, but I tell you, Austin Public Health, the city of Austin, is committed to making sure that we work closely with the Department of State Health Services so you can get your permit, so you can support the live music capital of the world and all the events that we have here in this great city and county. We're coming with a technical difficulty for anybody watching online, so we're just checking that. Thank you, ma'am. They can hear. Thank you. Quick, great team resolved that. So, to repeat, beginning July 1st, 2026, the Texas Department of State Health Services will handle all mobile food vending, licensing, and permitting in the state of Texas. You must have a Texas Department of State Health Services license to operate. Texas Department of State Health Services began accepting applications online just this month. They just started that. They launched everything last week. And so you can go access that application by their online licensing services. If everyone wants to take their phone out right now, and you can scan that QR code and you can save it for later. And if you don't have a chance to do it now, I'm gonna have the slide up a couple more times during this presentation to capture it later. So let's talk about how they get that permit with the state. Here's some key application steps. First, you want to gather all your payment information, a license of your current local health department permit, things like that, to upload. So all your documents, you want to put them in some sort of file, PDF file that you can upload for later, because in the state's website will kind of go through that, and I'll go through some of those examples in here in just a minute. But there are two applicant categories. There's category 1, and that's for folks that already have a local health department license. Who already has a local health department license in here? Raise your hand. So most of the people in here, you're going to be category 1. And so with you having a license already with the local health department, you may continue operating beginning July 1st if, everybody say if. Yeah. All right, thank you. If you go to the state website that was posted earlier, you submit your application, you pay the fees that are associated with that, and then you're going to print and keep that physical copy of that application with you and the payment receipt. And you're going to keep that on your mobile, and that's going to be your license to operate beginning July 1st. So pretty simple as far as that goes. For the other category, category 2, this would be for people that want to have a mobile. Who wants to have a mobile that doesn't have one now? 1, 2, good deal, about 5 or 6 folks here. That's great. I'm sure there's some down in the overflow room as well. For those that don't have a local health department license from a local health department in Texas, you cannot operate until a pre-licensing inspection is done. So that's a big difference between the two. For both categories, once the pre-licensing inspection is completed successfully, the state will issue the mobile food vending license for that applicable vehicle. And that license will expire 1 year from that pre-licensing inspection. So it doesn't expire from the day that you do your application. It expires from the date from 1 year up from the date of you passing your pre-licensing inspection. You got it? We'll take questions at the end, sir. I'm sorry, we're going to take questions at the end. I'm very sorry. I will cover it. Thank you so much. And here's that logo I said I'd post again. And really it just says if you have any questions from this point out, you need to call the Department of State Health Services and not Austin Public Health, because they are the authority. I know it's been the same for a long time. 35, 40 years we've been working together very closely. And so please reach out to them. That's the best way to get the information that is correct. They have really been working hard to roll this out. They went from 1,800 mobiles to mandating over 20,000. So that's a big jump of what they're trying to get their processes around. So let's talk a little bit about the City of Austin roles here. So we have another number of folks here. I see partners that I work with day in, day out, week in, week out, and then real closely that have come today as well. And I thank you for being here today. So we'll talk a little about Austin Public Health and how we're doing. What we're going to do is support this variation of permitting. So as I mentioned earlier, Austin Public Health has handled licensing permitting authority for mobiles for at least 35 to 40 years. And then about 16 years ago, Austin Fire and Travis County joined the process to combine with us to have a one-stop shop experience for the mobile food vendor. You could come through, you would get your permitting and your scheduling all handled by Austin Public Health. We would send the schedule out to the fire department, and then we would all coordinate with the vendor, the fire department, and health department to get all that done with one stop. And that was a great template. It really, really was. And but what could we do at Austin Public Health to support that? Well, Austin Public Health has signed an interlocal agreement with the Texas Department of State Health Services to provide mobile food vendor inspection services for an initial 13-month term beginning July 1st, 2026. So this is how to plan for those inspections. After this Texas Department of State Health Services processes your application, the Texas Department of State Health Services will send you a letter to schedule that pre-licensing inspection. Once you receive the Texas Department of State Health Services letter, contact Austin Public Health at 512-978-0300, and that number is on the screen in front of you there. I've also placed things in case you run into trouble with documents you might need later. I put the public information request. That's not our department, that's a city department, but that's the way the process we have to go to provide information to you folks as far as that goes. There's also there. You can also just go on the web and look up public information requests, and it'll pop up on your browser as well. So let's talk about, here are some of the scheduling expectations regarding these. So for category 1, remember what's category 1? You all have those are the folks that already have a license with the health department, right? That's what we're talking about. These will be scheduled on a first come, first served basis, generally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, just like we've always conducted out here in our parking lot. So that won't change. That won't change. We are still looking forward to working with the fire department. At this point, we're not sure how this launch will go beginning July 1st. We don't know if we're going to have 1,000 in our queue to do or 1. We just don't know. It'll really depend on the process with the state. Remember, there's another cook in the kitchen, so this cycle takes a little longer, but I'm sure once it gets up and going, it'll move quickly. How about category 2? That's for those folks that want to get, like yourself, that want to get a mobile food vending permit. Well, you will those will be scheduled within 14 days of your submission, as far as that goes. Yes, 14 days, and likely on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. Why the difference? Why there's a difference there? Well, we have this thing called live music in Austin. We have this thing called allowing business to operate and make money. Category 1 can begin making money day 1 just by filling out the application and submitting the fees and hanging on to that permit application and those fees as well, and keep it on their mobile. Category 2 can't do anything. They're not allowed to operate until they have that inspection. So we're really expediting that as fast as we can. So yours will be done within 14 days at least. And so that's keeping things moving. And it's going to be quite a turnaround for some of the events that come in for ACL, South by and stuff that come in from out of the state. We're going to work closely with the state. I'm not saying it's going to be slow, but we're going to work very closely with them to try to streamline these processes and get these hammered down before ACL, hopefully, and get those up and going. So here are some practical tips for applying. I mentioned this before, but take a clear photo of your existing local permit. That's the permit that's on your vehicle, the sticker that we have here in Austin. That's what I'm talking about. And then all those other documents that I mentioned earlier, have them ready to upload. Also that inspection, any past inspections you've had, upload some of those and label it inspection, past inspection. Have all those ready, have that payment ready to go. And the reason I'm saying why this, when you go, we had one experience where if you leave your computer and you have the application up and you leave, after a period of time, it makes you go back to the beginning again. That's very frustrating. So that's why I'm trying to help you out. Have everything ready so it's not frustrating for you. I want you to be in a good mood and happy and make it be as seamless as possible for you. So have all this stuff ready before you do that. What else are some things that you can mention as far as that goes? Again, have your payment ready. Print and keep your application summary and payment receipt on the vehicle while operating. Can't stress it enough that you have that. If you don't have that information on the vehicle when you're operating after July 1st, you don't have a permit if you haven't had that pre-license yet. You don't have a physical license yet. The only thing you have is that application and payment receipt. So here's the here's that slide again. So let's summarize some of what we talked about. House Bill 2844 moves all licensing and permitting authority from local health departments to the state beginning July 1st, 2026. Austin Public Health will provide inspection services under an interlocal government agreement for at least the initial 13 months to support this transition. And then here's some action items for you. Apply to the Department of State Health Services now. Have your payment and proof of local permits ready. Contact Austin Public Health after you receive your letter, your scheduling letter. And that's the best thing we can really provide with these type of tips and things like that. So again, thank you for coming again. And we're going to continue with the rest of the presentations and then the Q&R. So what we're going to do, we're going to transition. We have Chief De La Reza here, also as Captain Santiago is here as well. They're going to come and present some information how they're going to support this variation of permitting.
Thank you, Todd.
Sir.
Hello. Hola. I'm Andre De La Reza with the Austin Fire Department. I'm Assistant Chief over this. I want to start off with a great thanks to APH Todd for inviting us over here to help y'all. We have had 16 years of working together as a city and as a county to provide for you all. You all support the community that we work just like we support it, and we appreciate you and we respect how important the services y'all provide to that and the food. Honestly, I'm a foodie, so I like it. So I thank y'all for what y'all do. It has been worked. When we first started, it wasn't smooth, but it has gotten very smooth where we were at a single point of contact, and it was an easier experience as any governmental process can be for that. As part of the government, things do change sometimes. So right now we had a change forced upon us by this House bill. So as you heard from Todd, there will be changes for the existing process from the public health side of it. Just follow all the advice that will be, that'll help. The fire side will continue. If you operate in the city of Austin, you need an Austin fire inspection if you hit those calibers. Captain Santiago is going to come up here and he's going to tell you the details of when you need that immediately. There's two really strong caveats for if your business uses these things, you'll need that inspection. We will continue to work as we can with that, but because of this state process and House bill that came out, you're going to have to reach out to two people. You got to reach out to the state, and then you have to reach out to the fire. And then if you're working to operate in the county, you got to reach out to the Travis County Fire Marshals. We are continuing to work and see if we can get more agreements to try to bring it back to as little pieces as possible. But this is what we're doing. We're going to tell you when and how to do it, but I encourage you, ask questions early. Don't wait till your inspection's expiring to get there. This is the time to get up there. The last thing we want is someone operating without a license or being in something unsafe. Our ultimate goal is for you and your workers to be safe, and for the people who are purchasing food from y'all to be safe. That's going to be better for everyone. It's going to allow us to continue to serve the community that we go. Captain Santiago, who needs to contact Austin Fire? And we did provide handouts out to the people in this room. Christian, did we get those to the downflow, overflow room? Thank you. We got a great team back here, so we'll be able to help with the questions and answers. Cap.
So the main change that we have, is we used to process your payment through APH. Now that the state's taken over, we have to receive a payment through our portal. So the number one thing that you guys need to do is to make sure you go to this website and actually, you need to go to this website and actually go ahead and register on the ABC portal, okay, before you can get an inspection in the city of Austin for fire. You need to register here. Okay, before the number one thing you need to do is go to this portal and register so you can get an inspection, okay, a fire inspection. Your fire inspection is going to last a year, and it's going to be the same as it was before. The only difference is we're collecting a payment through the ABC portal.
Who needs to get a fire inspection? Everyone needs a health inspection, but only some people need a fire inspection.
So if you operate in the city of Austin, you're going to need to get a fire inspection through the Austin Fire Marshal's office.
If you
Unincorporated?
Yes, anybody that operates in the city of Austin.
But tell. It's unincorporated, it's not in the city of Austin.
We also have our Travis County Fire Marshal to help answer these questions.
So if you're operating in, my name's Gary Howell, I'm the Travis County Fire Marshal. If you're operating in Travis County, unincorporated Travis County, which includes all the ESDs, you have to have a permit through the Travis County Fire Marshal's office also. It's like Austin, other than we have a different, we're gonna collect our own fees now. And if you have a pen available, and I'll have our guys, we'll write this on the back boards also. You have to go to TCFMO permits with an S.com. You'll have to register or as a user, and then you'll be able to fill out an application and request an inspection. And we'll write that down. We'll write it on both the boards in the back so you can see what that is. Again, if you operate in unincorporated Travis County, a mobile food truck, you're required to have a inspection through our office. And then again, like Chief said, we're trying to make this where it's one permit. We're working on that really hard for y'all, where it's going to be one shop again. We're at one place that you go, one thing. Now, it sounds like we're going to work with Todd and his group wherever the health inspections are at. That's where we're going to try to be at, where you don't have to run around the city go to get your health inspection and then go to Austin and then come. We're going to try to still do that. But what we're really working for, we're already aligned. We're just trying to make sure we get our ducks in a row, excuse me, where we have a single permit. It's what we're really working towards. All right? That way you don't have to have 2 fire permits.
So, order of operations, always start with the health permit. Get that first, because if you don't have that, then fire permit's not going to help you at all. Get the health inspection first, and then reach out and schedule with fire. If you're unsure, reach out to either of us who you think are going to be doing your primary business. We'll point you. We'll answer your questions. We'll have that follow the QR code. You want to contact us before you try to schedule that inspection, because you have to set up payment beforehand. And then you'll come over there. For City of Austin, if you operate with propane or have grease-laden vapors, then you need a fire inspection. Travis County, same thing. So we'll continue to work on there. Right now, it's going to be a co-located space, but you got to contact 2 people before you show up. We will continue to try to find efficiencies. We understand this is a bit of a pain, and we appreciate it. We're trying to minimize that as much as possible and trying to gain those efficiencies, but it's what we have to do to be able to provide and meet the rules that the state is requiring from us. Anything else you want to add on?
Yeah, if you do have a current fire inspection, it's still valid to the expiration date, so you don't have to worry about just trying to get one July the 1st. So it's still valid.
But I would say this, we would like, I think that we would, at one point, we would like the health inspection and the fire inspection to coexist at the same time. So at some point, we're gonna have to try to figure that out, right? That way you're not coming in twice. If your fire inspection ends in May and you're trying to do it in July and then have it come back, I don't want you to do that. We want you to come back and only come one time if we can do that, if that makes sense to everybody. So if I agree with the captain, if you got an inspection from our office, you're good. But if you're going to have to come in and get a health inspection, try to set it up where you go ahead. It's okay to have another inspection early if you need to.
Yeah, we're going to allow renewing early.
Yes.
To help get y'all back in line.
Yeah, because we don't want y'all to have to break down or lose work to come and try to get an inspection. All right, we want you to be able to. One time is what we're looking for. Okay, we're trying to be user friendly.
We're gonna hold off. We've got a whole crew of people who are part of this and have been working hard to make this as streamless as possible. We'll be available throughout the entire question and answer. But Todd, do you have other parts?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank y'all.
So, thank you, gentlemen, very much for sharing your plan to support this, and we're looking forward to working with you and helping everybody to get the permits they need and keep everybody safe and healthy. So that's great. Gary had in fact, he's writing on the board right now. Thank you, Gary. And he's writing the website you need to go to get something from Travis County. So, and one of my staff also provided it. So if you want to write this down, this is for Travis County Fire. It's www, of course, and then a dot, and then T, C, F as in Frank, M as in Mary, O as in Oscar, permits, and then a .com. So TCFMO permits.com. That's for Travis County. And then Austin will have their stuff up here shortly. And by the way, they're developing some statements talking about how you can get the permit with the fire department and their information, things like that. They're gonna be sending that. We'll put that on our website so you can find it there. You'll also find it on their own websites, but we definitely will have that message on our website as well. So you kind of gives you one place to come and get everything you need. Okay, we'll now open the floor for questions, and here's the way I'd like it to go, if you would. So we have people downstairs that might have a question. There's people upstairs. So please, I want you to raise your hand if you have a question, and I want you to wait for this mic that's been a little fickle, but we want to try to capture this as best we can, what you're saying. So we'll try the mic. If it doesn't work, we're going to have them.
And you'll repeat the question.
I'll repeat it. Yes, absolutely. And I'll repeat the question here. That way everybody can hear the question, and then we can provide an answer. And as far as that goes, so speak clearly, speak in a relaxed manner, so the translator can pick up exactly what you're saying as far as that goes. So any questions so far? Yes, sir, in the very back.
I have two. One's for the fire department and one is for the state. I have an oversized trailer.
Let me, this part we need to simultaneous, this mic is not working, so unless you can get it working. So his question is, he has two trailers, one for...
I have one trailer, but it's like 45 feet long. It won't fit in your parking lot here without a lot of difficulty. And I know that when I came in earlier, before all of this was to this point, and I asked the ladies, were they going to continue doing on-site inspections for fire and health? They told me they didn't know and they didn't have an answer for me. And I'm asking now, is that still an option at an additional fee, or is that being eradicated completely from the program?
That's a very good question. So his question is, he has a very long trailer and would like to opt in for the on-site mobile vending permitting that we tried out last year. We did a pilot program, and then we actually had that through this year and scheduled that. Right now, at this moment, we don't have that option, but as things roll forward, we can see how things go. But at this moment, it's not a permitting option that we have as far as that goes. We can't charge fees that are different than the state. The state collects the fees. We have no way of capturing that. The state hasn't developed anything like that. So any rules, any questions about mobile food vending and the new process, unfortunately, you got to go back to the state and ask those. So we will do a permitting inspection for the state, but
Will the fire department do it?
So on our end,
there you go. Come on down here, please.
on a situation like that, which is kind of rare, right? You can feel free to call us, and we could actually send somebody out to do your fire inspection.
Right next door to the training facility.
Okay. So that's a possibility. So right now we're working on the scheduling, obviously, because they're taking applications, we're taking applications, so it's kind of hard to schedule everything together. Hopefully we work through that. But the fire side is a little bit easier as far as the inspection. And if we have to make minor changes, we will, to try to accommodate people.
And were you operating in the city or in the unincorporated?
It's unincorporated.
So it
Okay.
would come to me. Sorry. Yeah.
From us is City of Austin. Where I'm at is unincorporated.
Okay.
Okay.
So then that, we defer to the fire marshal.
Thank you.
We weren't part of that. Evidently, you've been here before, right? It's just really hard to get in here, correct?
It's really hard to get in here, yes, sir.
Okay. Because we weren't part of that pilot program, and the staff at the county fire marshal's office is not large enough to accommodate on site. But there's something that maybe we could talk about outside, all right, offline. Okay.
Okay, while we're talking about historical stuff, Michelle just reminded me to mention something. So thank you, Michelle, for reminding me. So he brought up the historical stuff about what we did do. Another thing is that, are there any event organizers in here? Special event organizers? Special event organizer, if you raise your hand if you're a special event organizer. Don't see any here, but I'm sure that some are watching online or either downstairs. So we have a lot of special events here in Austin. The event organizers do an amazing job of setting all those up. We work very closely with the ACME, which used to be called ACE, to review those plans that people submit. We all work really closely together and look at those holistically from all departments to make sure they're just the best, safest event. And they're fantastic to work with, both our department and the event organizers. And so one of the things that's a little different is traditionally folks could come from out of state to support an event. And because of the time it took to get someone in here when they show up and get them to complete the application and to inspect those mobile food vehicles prior to the event is a very quick turnaround. So what we did for years, those folks that came in from out of the state, they were coming in and leaving, we would issue them a temporary food permit. And that would be good for one time per year, one time. And what that did, that allows us to expedite that. Now, it didn't get a fire inspection, is why we didn't do it more than once. They did get a basic fire inspection by these folks' teams here at the event, but it didn't include a more in-depth fire inspection. So that's why we only did it once. So I'm saying all that to say this is a heads up to all event organizers in the city of Austin. Please reach out to us. Let's come up with a way that we can know ahead of time those mobiles that are going to support your event, so we can have that information and we can reach out to the state and make sure we have the authority to work with those folks. So that's something we did discuss. They brought up last meeting that we had, and thought that was a good workaround. But anyway, the state is not going to allow the issuance of temporary licenses to mobile food vendors anymore. The state has put a moratorium on those. So that puts us in quite a pickle. So there again, there's another cook in the kitchen, but we're doing everything we can to work with DISHES to streamline this process. We know how important the live music industry is. We know how important your business is to you and how important you are to the city of Austin and Travis County and our economy. So we're working on that one. Okay, back to question. Yes.
Three doctors.
Okay.
You want to take it? We don't answer.
You can do that, sure. This is Marcel Elizondo. This is our division chief.
For a while longer here. I just renewed my license in April for $700. Another truck is due in September. Am I expected to get both of these renewed and pay over $3,000 in the span of 3 months? Sorry. I'm a vendor who just renewed my license in April for $700. I have another truck due in September. Am I expected to get both of these renewed and pay over $3,000 in a span of 3 months? So there was no transition between the R permit and the state permit. There was no, well, since the state's taken over and it's April, can I just operate without a license? There was not that option. No city in Texas, no municipality in Texas had that option. Trust me, we all talk. I have colleagues across the state. We all had the same struggle. If you got a permit this year, as of July the 1st, it is no longer valid. I know there might have been talk, you might have seen it in the news, I think out of West Texas, there was a news article that said, oh, we're gonna grandfather those permits. The state came out and with a clear interpretation for all the local health departments All local health department permits are null and void as of July the 1st. So I hope that answered that question. Another question is, why are trailers that are not interested in moving around and staying in one spot, why do they have to pay for permits the same amount as the ones that are moving around? It's not really a fair option. Neither the city of Austin or any city in the state of Texas set those fees. These fees were set by the state of Texas, Texas Department of State Health Services. They're the agency that set that. No local health department, not Austin, not Houston, not Dallas, not San Antonio, not El Paso, had a say in how those fees are set. Can the new permit override the independent permits? For example, the University of Texas at Austin requires separate permitting and fire inspections. The way the new state of Texas permit is intended for is to be used across the entire state of Texas. That includes local universities and colleges.
The translators are requesting to speak up because they can't hear the translator.
Let's go sort of this, or okay, I'll face that way. You want to repeat the question? Can the new state permit override or supersede the local independent permits? The answer is yes. For example, the University of Texas has their own health permit and their own fire inspections. I'm only speaking for the health. For the health permit, yes, the new state license will override and can take over whatever the University of Texas or any college or any university in Texas, whatever permit they have, this new statewide permit will not be valid. You can use the statewide permit on that campus, but also make sure you have permission to be on campus.
We work with the University of Texas and they do their own inspections and everything, but you have to sign a contract, fill out all the insurance to make sure that they're being taken care of. So it's not like I can just go and post up with the new permit. You know what I'm saying?
The question came up is that can they operate on campus? You still want to check wherever you're going to operate to make sure you meet all their local rules. But as far as a separate permit, the way that we have been informed is the state license is good statewide. As far as the fire inspections,
For the fire department and fire inspections, if you're operating in the city of Austin, you need the city of Austin fire inspection. County, you need the fire the inspection. If you're within the city of Austin, at the University of Texas, they're the state. They fall under the state fire marshal, and they trump us. So you will have to get there. So if you're just operating on UT campus, then you just need the UT fire marshal's inspection. You don't need our inspection. But if you come off of campus and you're operating in city of Austin, you will need both.
another question is a Williamson County permit considered a permit to fall under a type 1 category? So the types of permits that Todd was speaking about, the type 1 or the type 2, that's statewide. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about Travis County, Williamson County.
Those are category 1 and 2, and then type 1, 2, 3. Like freaking.
So okay, right. I'm talking type 1. So don't confuse categories. That's a whole nother. You can speak to my staff afterwards about what type of category you might fall into, because with the city of Austin, you have 1 permit. State of Texas, you have 3. Type 1, type 2, type 3, or
It's category 1 and 2, type 1, 2, 3. Yes. Type 1 being those little push carts and things.
so as far as the processes, the 2 processes Todd was talking about, did you call them type?
They're categories.
Categories,
One
all right.
would be already have a license.
Category 1, you already
two-
have a license.
Category 2, you don't
Category
have
2,
one.
you don't have a license. That's going to apply.
Sometime back, I received an email from the TABC that I had to send pictures of my business. And then the city of Austin, the health department, went to do it in the inspection, and I had to pay a fee. So am I good?
The question was about Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
Inspection in October?
We can talk, that one might be a specific question myself can answer offline, but this is talking about Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. I'm not familiar with the TABC
They
rules.
sent me an email, and I did send pictures, the TABC sent me pictures.
we recommend contacting the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission to see what questions they might have. That's another state agency. That's not DSHS.
Okay, it looks like.
Go ahead and rotate in here, because I'll have a few more, but let's rotate back in this room.
Okay.
So we have
The opposite problem.
what he has.
We're like an under.
Size trailer that's a 4x5, and we actually mark to the ABC portal, and we work with right of way. What classification will we fall under in terms of, is it a tier 2 or tier 3?
And can you repeat your menu again?
The menu or the question?
Because it's based on what you're selling, that type of thing. When you're talking about
Hot hold and reheat. Do you hot hold, chill, reheat?
reheating and things like that, and if you're reheating things, I think if you go to the state's website, remember this is not our programming, but if you go there, you'll see that you're probably going to be likely tier 3. Yeah. If you're cook and serve, it'll be 2, I think.
There have to,
But we can verify your question. We'll have our staff look at that, and I can give you this right here, Michelle. You can verify this question. Here you go.
Yeah, it is type 3.
It's type 3. So it's like I said,
but as a push cart,
it's if you're handling exposed foods, I think so. But we'll get with that. She'll verify that here. We're going to the state website to verify this information. So people, like I said, you have that.
Yeah, it
This is Michelle Meller. She's the rock star for the mobile food vending program here at Austin Public Health. So Michelle Meller.
All right, yeah, with type, it sounds like what you've described so far, that you would be a type 3 mobile. That's a mobile food vendor that prepares, cooks, holds, and serves food from a food vending vehicle. It's not unit specific, it's the type of food that you're making. And
whatever you classify, because it's an FVV, right, like a food vending vehicle.
Okay.
So we classify it not like a mobile, we're not technically driving, it's still just, it's not classified as a push cart then?
they have that as part of their application process, but it doesn't affect what sort of type that you are. You'd either be a type 1, type 2, or type 3, and then there's the different vehicle types within those types.
Over the past 2 years, we are type 2. We are in 6 street vendors. It's different category.
Because we have to work with right of way, given the proximity of the other businesses,
Okay.
given the size of our trailer.
So given the size of your trailer, you're saying that you worked with the state before and they considered you a type 2? A push cart, yeah. With the way that the state is rolling things out now, it's either type 1, type 2, or type 3, solely based off of the type of food and processes that you're following. So the city of Austin typically dealt with restricted and unrestricted before, and those were our 2 types of permits. Restricted being, again, the type of food that you're serving, and then we would also select the unit that you were, the unit type of push cart, a trailer, or a truck. This is kind of following something similar, but it breaks it down into 3 tiers now.
The difference was we were handling raw food and that's how it came with, I guess, unrestricted or restricted.
Right. Yeah, so with the state, there's either type 1 that sells prepackaged items, including the TCS or time or temperature control for safety foods. A type 2 sells prepackaged foods that are ROP, reduced oxygen packaging, such as vacuum sealed items, food that's prepared for immediate consumption, including cold hold, thawing, and or reheating, commercially processed products. And so that would be like if you're cooking hamburgers or something and you're immediately selling it. The type 3 is the more complicated items that you're cooking, cooling, reheating.
What about our type requirements?
We'll take another question here. We'll get back. We'll rotate around a little. I know you had your hand up a little bit. Yes, sir.
Do I need to wait for the microphone?
No, you're good. You can hear you clearly from up here. It's fantastic.
What I hope is a quick question for fire, followed with a question for health. The quick question that I hope for fire: does fire do temporary permits for the respective jurisdictions? So if somebody's supposed to come in for 1 day or 3 days, do any of the fire jurisdictions offer 10?
And so the question, if you didn't hear it, the question is whether or not fire requires or offers a temporary fire permit to their applicants.
So one day in jurisdiction, and you need an annual permit. Okay. Got
Did
it.
you want to answer that one?
We good.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer for the folks online?
So for City of Austin, we do not, and for the county,
We do not.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, those are, according to the fire department, for those online, they do not offer those The fire department does not offer temporary licenses at all.
Question, getting back, it was a web question and it was kind of addressed. The Austin Public Health website lists a 180-day refund policy on fees from the date the payment was made. So for example, I made a payment at the end of February, 180 days from that is in August. Would I be able to get a refund for my mobile fee? And if not, I would like to know when that policy change was made. Sorry, very sharp elbowed question, but I just spent $2,000 on already permitted units, so.
Understood.
I have a sharp elbow.
Understood. And his question deals with the fees and that he has already paid through our normal process to obtain a permit through Austin and the fire department and paid those fees already. His question is of whether or not they can be reimbursed. And so when this bill was released, and if you look in the media, you'll see that it was promised that they would honor those local health department licenses throughout their expiration of the local health department listed expiration date. So if you got one in January of this year, it'd be good till January of next year. And then after the lawyers started going through the bill, they informed us in April that they were not going to honor those anymore. So what we did do is the city of Austin started offering prorated permits for vendors. So if you had 3 months left, you would pay $75. If you needed one this month, right now, you're paying $25. So we're offering prorated permits. But at no time did the state consult with us about our policy and things like that regarding providing any refunds. Yes.
Since this is a statewide permit, if we would, like, they say, for example, if I was to go to San Antonio, would I have to get with the fire people there as well? There's not nothing across the board. There would be like so to speak, like your electrical national code, where
Right.
you're good anywhere you go because you've got the level that you need.
It's a great.
To address that.
Yeah, it's a great question for online and for the translators. The question is specifically to fire. Since there's a new state mandate, can that translate to operating anywhere in the state? For health, yes, but you're still beholden to your local municipality of where you're operating for a fire. So you get one health inspector, but if you decide to go down to San Antonio, you have to check with them. They may or may not offer. We're working out to try to bridge the gap for the regional area between Austin and the Travis County. But right now, we would not honor a San Antonio fire inspection if they were coming in here. There's too many differences between fire codes and which municipalities they're offering.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's take some questions over here. Got this side room camera. Take you down at the end, please.
I did not quit. So I tried it. Like it's ago. High pressure. So do I see? It does.
You're in Travis County?
He's asked.
You're in the city. Okay, he's in the city.
He's asking a question about fire suppression systems, and Chief Taylor is just going to take that one.
Okay. So as we bring up our technical expert, you've been operating for 15 years, 14 years. You have a current fire inspection?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're previously grandfathered in, we're not changing the fire code on you. It's still going to be the same fire code, the same requirements that you had before.
No, I did it 5 years. Until there is my health inspection, my health permit
Bye. Post
in
him.
September.
Hopefully.
How soon I have to submit my request for review?
Sorry, I thought it was.
There was a question about if your current health permit expires in September or going forward, when you would need to renew for that. And everyone in the state of Texas, all of their permits are null and void, the local jurisdictional permits, starting July 1st. You can start applying now. I would suggest starting to apply now so that you can get in that queue. Because even though your health permit says that it's valid until September, it's no longer valid until September. It's valid until June 30th, and then you need to get the state permit going forward.
Yeah. Just that's one of those action items we mentioned earlier. That's where you guys need to go. Go to the website. If you already have a license right now from any health department in Texas, go to the website, the state's website, that QR code that we had up earlier. William will bring that up again. I can represent it. We can have that. Go there and get your permit. Do that now. It's there to accepting applications, and you can remember to get all your stuff ready, upload it, pay the fee, and you're good to go. For those that already have a license, you're good to go. Just hang on to that physical application and that payment. Okay, let's take one more. Yes, here.
I have some for the fire marshal. So going back to the push part, so for the health, we didn't need a fire inspection. So now since the types are changing and they're cooking, would they need?
Are you cooking with grease-laden vapors? But there's no, it's not enclosed, right? You're pushing a cart?
Yeah, like an actual push cart.
Are you in the county or in the city?
Well, for either, it's okay.
I don't, that would be a.
Yeah, so according to our hazmat engineers, anything under 20 pounds of propane is not required to have a fire permit for the city. Any propane above that is required. And if you're cooking with electric on a push cart, then the grease-laden vapors dissipate, and so we aren't worried about that in that situation. But the propane in that scenario is the catalyst for a fire inspection.
Okay, and then what about the renewals? They're gonna continue the same, like renewals for city, just the plumber test and the fire suppression that needs to be taken care of? Or would they also need an electrician like Travis County does?
So again, renewals, we're not changing any of the requirements on the renewal permits.
Okay, and then Travis County will still need those, all 3 inspections?
Yeah, and right now, currently, yes, you're going to need the 3 inspections, or at least you're going to need one from health. You'll need a current health inspection or permit, and then you'll need a fire inspection or a permit from our office. Now, I want to emphasize this: we are working really hard to try to make this where we're trying to make it easier on y'all, where we don't have multiple permits in this area. Okay.
I think for the renewal, it's like, would you require the electrical test and the
Yes.
plumbing and the fire?
Yes. Just we're not changing anything in the permitting process or the inspection process that we're currently under.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the gentleman. Gotta take the gentleman in the back, please.
Kind of a follow-up to what you addressed earlier, but initially you were saying as long as we have
This thing.
permit holders, if you have the application and you keep the receipt for your payment, we'll be allowed to operate, but only until
Our state.
Well, yes. So basically, if you already have a license, and it's okay, thanks for asking again. It really is great. Can't repeat this enough. So if you already have a license with the local health department, the only thing you need to do now is go to that QR code right there, scan it, go to that, fill out the application. But before you fill out the application, get all your stuff ready, right? Upload it, pay for it. You will hang on that application, and that fee receipt is your license basically to operate until you get your actual physical license. And guess when you get the physical license? After you get your permitting inspection conducted by Austin Public Health. At that time, we'll send it back, yes, they passed, and then they will mail out to your physical license. And again, that license will expire 1 year after the issuance or conduction when you pass that permitting inspection. So in some of these instances, it sounds clear to me that some of these are going to be valid for well over a year. And we're going to work really hard to go through those, but it's going to take us a minute to get through those. So if your best value would be the first year licensing, you're going to get more than a year. So I would think the way the vast amount of people that we have to permit beginning all over again July 1. So, yes, right here, ma'am.
Laws are only for at like me. I am a vendor, event vendor, and I was trying to upgrade to a trailer. Are we still doing the permit, like temporary permit, or are we gonna go through the state and then
I'm gonna make sure I get your question right. So, are you just a temporary food event vendor?
Yes.
You're just a temp vendor. Is it?
I work from a tent, like, I'm trying to get an upgrade to a food trailer, but
Yeah.
right now, I'm working in a tent.
Okay, gotcha. And your question again regarding that is what? I'm sorry.
For the permits, are we gonna be getting the permit to the state, or we're still gonna be
Okay.
getting to the county?
Good,
'Cause
that's-
I do different counties.
Gotcha. That's a great question. So, a good question. All of our restaurants, grocery stores, everything else that we inspect and permit, nothing has changed. And also in regard to our temporary food establishments that we have all over the city that also support the special events and the live music scene here in Austin, nothing's changing there either. So that's all staying the same. It's just mobile food vendors. That program has moved to the state. So great question. Thank you. Yes. One more online?
No, one more.
Okay. Let me take one more here, and I'll go back to the side of the room. Yes, ma'am.
So I have 3 food trucks, multiple food trucks, but they're closed. I have a question for you, and I also have a question for the marshals. My question for you would be, what is the cost of this new permit? And my other question for the marshals is, I'm working with electric, so I use no propane. All my food is packaged. Do I still need to have that permit from you guys, that inspection? Or is it just, you're okay to go, sign, or what is the process for that? Either or, city or, it could be county. Because my mobile trucks move around in Austin and they go through Bastrop, they go to Maynard, they go to Elgin. So I need to know what is the process of these following, steps that I need to take?
That's a long, lengthy question. I want to answer it right. I can get with you afterwards if you want and take care of your questions. That'd be okay, and we'll take care of that one. There's a lot of ins and outs. We'd have to go through and sit down, and we want to answer your question properly. But
Can I answer the fire side?
yeah,
though?
sure.
And I'll defer to you afterwards. In the city, if you are in the scenario she proposes, is she's operating in the city with electric, no grease-laden vapors. You do not need a fire inspection. The 2 triggers for in the city whether or not you need a fire inspection is if you have propane over 20 gallons, if it's exterior, or any propane if it's interior.
Yes.
And grease-laden vapors. If you want to get into the definition of grease-laden vapors, come talk to us afterwards. And for the county,
So the county, we were permitting those, right? And we're working really hard not to. We're trying to align with AFT, all right? So right now, you're kind of sitting in this gray area, but we're trying our best not to permit those types of. So if you're a snow cone, or somebody that does things like that, again, that no grease-laden vapors, no propane, we're trying to make it where we're aligned with what Austin's doing. Stops the confusion, and that's what we're trying to do. Okay.
You want to answer that question?
Yeah. So I'll try to answer. I'll give you an example for one of them. Give me one of your vehicles. What your menu is? What do you cook?
It's tacos, but they're just all like everything's in cold packaged stuff, ready to.
Okay. So do you sell? Is it commercially manufactured? So it's all prepackaged by the manufacturer, and you're just simply handing it to the customer?
Right.
Okay, so you're not really handling food. So in that category, you would be, are you heating it up at all or anything like that?
No, not really. It's just prepackaged.
Okay, so if it's all prepackaged, according to the website at Dishes, remember, we're no longer the authority, we have to go to the website. Looking at this, you'd be a type 1 for that, for the health inspection, that's the way you'd be. And the fee that they have currently proposed at this time is $309 for a type 1. So for something really basic like that. So that plus the fire fee. That's all the type 1 has right now as far as that goes. That would get you started for one of those units. And then we have a number of questions online.
Downstairs.
Yeah, oh, excuse me. They're questions from online, but they're from downstairs in our overflow room.
Question for fire. Will the fire permit from San Marcos obtained this year still be valid until renewal? I think you already answered it, but go ahead.
Yeah. So once again, regardless if you're operating in Austin, you need an Austin fire. If you're the ones that we talked about just recently, and if you're in the county, you need a Travis County. San Marcos, San Antonio, El Paso, none of those will work for operating inside of City of Austin or in the county.
Will a fire department inspection from Austin work in Houston?
They may. I can't speak for them. You have to talk to them if they honor or give reciprocity. We are working to give reciprocity between ourselves, but it requires a legal agreement according to our city lawyers. Houston may choose to honor other people or not, but they may not be operating. We're operating off of the 2024 code. They're operating off in the 2021 code. If they're in a different code, it really depends on that authority having jurisdiction.
Another question from downstairs is, what are the new state health inspection requirements? Where can those be found? For example, what are the water tank sizes? First place to start again is going to be the state website. I'm going to offer this. I'm going to surprise my team here for a minute because I know we're running short on time. We have a lot of questions online and here and downstairs. Just in case we run out of time, write down this email address and help me spread the word, team. You can maybe write it down on the board, and downstairs, please share with the team. So state website first, try and see if you can get an answer down there. If you cannot find your answer, we'll work with our state counterparts. But if not, you can go to ehsd.service at Austin, spelled out, Texas, spelled out, .gov. So that's ehsd.service at austintexas.gov. So that's for any questions that we aren't able to answer right here, or in case we run out of time, because we have a lot of questions that we want to be able to cover as many as possible. The other question. So we heard that APH will no longer be able to issue temporary mobile food vendor permits. Will APH still issue temporary food vendor permits for festivals to vendors that are not serving out of a truck or a trailer? So the answer on that one is yes. If you're operating from a tent, our temporary food program will not change. Now, however, for the mobiles that are operating at festivals, you need to get a state health permit for mobile food vending. I know in the past, on a case-by-case basis, we would issue a temporary food permit to a mobile food vendor. State said that not that it's their program, they would not allow that. You cannot get a temporary food license for a mobile food permit in Texas. And last question, then we'll come back to this room. How often do I have to bring my trailer to the office for inspection, yearly or only one time? This is a fantastic question. This has not come up. I know we keep talking about the fees and oh my God, this is so much and hassle every year. With health, I'm not speaking for fire, for health, one time. Under the new state licensing requirements, for this year, everybody. But the second year, if you already have a license, all you got to do is go to the website, submit your renewal, and you're done. You get your license in the mail. You do not have to come back and see Austin Public Health, Williamson County, San Marcos, San Antonio. You don't have to go back for your renewal. No more on-site renewal. No more having to come back to the office for renewals.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I mean. Out of all this change, that's probably one positive aspect. But for fire, I'll let them speak about that.
Yeah.
So I'll give two examples. If you are a brand new vendor, and this year, only this year, everybody's considered a brand new vendor, you have to come see us for health, for a pre-licensing, before you operate, inspection.
That's where you need the generator.
Yes. That, again, this year. So let's pretend we're already in year 2. We're in year 2 of this statewide licensing program. You already had a permit through the state and you need to renew. You do not have to contact us. You will not get hey, you have to show up in 2 weeks to come get your renewal inspection. That process does not exist with the state. You're one and done. As long as you stay in operation and as long as you don't switch out your trailer. So keep the trailer, stay in business, one and done.
Does the fee change?
The fee will not change. You will not have to pay a pre-licensing inspection. That's good. So right now, this first year, you have to pay your application fee and then a pre-licensing fee. Next year, it's just the application fee.
Okay. That's
You mentioned something about temps. So we regularly will go out to, say, Coda, and Coda will pull a tent because we take a mobile vending unit, but then we also set up a table outside.
That is not part of the mobile food unit.
I know, right? So whose jurisdiction does that table fall under?
The mobile food vending aspect of it will fall under Austin Public Health. Once you get out of the mobile unit, the state has been clear. We don't touch anything outside of the unit. That is local ordinances. So that falls back to APH.
Thank you.
So in your mobile unit, state, once you travel outside your mobile unit, like at festivals, ACL, South by Southwest, then you'll talk to two, unfortunately, state and local.
Thank you.
And so the state finally gets to be a good guy. They're the one and done there. Fire, we're still requiring an annual inspection, so you will have to do a site visit with fire. As we develop the coordination in there, that may change, but as of right now, it is still an annual inspection for fire.
Is that to be done here?
Yes, it will all be done here. If we change it, we'll paper and contact.
We will put it out on social media. We'll make sure you know that when you apply for your permit the second year and on, we'll let you know where you need to go. All right.
Okay, let's take a couple more questions, ma'am.
Yes, this is on fire. I have another question. For example, if, like a Zapata, where we have the permit for the state, right? And then we don't have the permit for the fire marshal. We can operate no matter that we have the permit for the state, the health permit?
You can't, if you have grease-laden vapors or propane, you cannot operate without a fire inspector inspection.
We don't have the inspection for the fire marshal. We can do any festival, whatever that.
Correct.
We need to have the currently permit for fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, back to this side. I'll take care of the lady with the.
Yeah. How long do you anticipate the pre-licensing process to take with the new bill? Or is that just a DSHS?
It really will. It's it's kind of like you've heard the saying, the check's in the mail. Well, as soon as we get that notification, or you get that notification to contact us, that's when we'll start scheduling those. So it's a big program, big rollout. I don't know. They could be ready. They could be ready to send us stuff prior to that. Say, hey, we have things ready to go for July 1st for you guys to do. We'll find out, but we don't know. But realistically, for most people, if there's 2,000 mobile food vendors in the city of Austin, Travis County right now, we can't do them all the first week, month, or the second month. It's going to take a while to get through all of those.
Yeah.
So.
For category 2, I know that it says that they're prioritizing the pre-licensing inspection from like application and fee payment to then getting that letter.
Yes.
How long do you think that process is taking?
So the question is good, and it's a very valid question, one we really need to think through for all of our special event organizers listening right now. Is the state is not going to allow us to issue those temporary permits to those mobiles coming from outside. So if they're coming in, or anybody's applying for a new permit, like this gentleman from me here wants to become a mobile food vendor, they will apply to the state, and they cannot operate in that category 2 because they don't have a license with the local health department yet. So even though they go and submit that and pay that, they cannot operate until they get that physical inspection completed and they pass by the health department. Now those are required to be done within 14 days. So those will be expedited. We will expedite those and put them at the front of the list. We are in our minds right now thinking through, we're reserving a spot just for those so we can take care of those. How many we get? Well, we did a hand raise today. Most of the people in here have a current permit, and about 5% are new mobile food vendors as a sample in this room. So not as many of those will be needed, slots will be needed for those folks. I hope that answers your question. Okay, great. Let's go back. Where?
Waiting for a long time.
¿Puedo seguir entendiendo mi
Gotcha.
permiso si no tengo un seguro social o una real ID que tenga?
I still have my permit if I don't have a social security number or a real ID issued by the state of Texas.
This question has come up often. The question is, if I don't have a real ID or social security number, can I get a mobile food vendor permit for the state of Texas? It depends. Translating over here. The question is, if I do not have a real ID or a social security number, can I operate a mobile? Can I apply for and obtain a state mobile food vending license? The answer is it depends. If you're operating a motorized vehicle, you have to have a valid U.S. identification. Not necessarily a real ID, and I understand that you called out that specific one, but the way the state law is written, not even DSHS made this rule. The way the law was written by the Texas legislature last year must have a valid U.S. identification if you're going to operate a motorized vehicle. So any rules, like if you're operating a taco truck in the state of Texas, you're on U.S. roads, state roads. So to operate that vehicle by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, you would need a valid U.S. identification, or in that case, a U.S. driver's license. So yes, you will need a valid U.S. driver's license. And I shouldn't say ID either, because you can't have an ID and drive a vehicle in Texas. Must have a valid U.S. driver's license to obtain a mobile food state license. Now, if you're only operating a push cart, you're not driving it, you do not need a U.S. Driver's license. Now it gets confusing because I did look at the application, and the application does ask, what is your Texas driver's license number? I don't know whether it was a required field, if it'll let you submit the application, whether it'll get rejected, we don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yes, up here.
Yeah, mine is actually mostly for the fire department. I've always had Austin and Travis County permits, and I never had to, well, Travis County would do the fire inspection for me, and then I didn't have to pay for the city of Austin at that time. And I know you said you're trying to get it back together again. Is the fees gonna stay the same for the fire inspections, or are there gonna be an increase on the fire inspections this year?
So right now, until we can get a combined relationship formalized, it will be a fee if you're operating in the city of Austin and a fee if you're in a county.
Yeah. Fee-wise, is the fees?
Our fees are gonna stay the same.
They are?
And the thing is, I think we're a little different in what our fees are. And what we'll do as we're working through this, our fees, you'll see our fees will probably drop. More like we're at 266 and they're at we come with 222. We're gonna probably drop ours. Okay. And I say that, they may come up, I don't know, we'll just see how it plays out.
Okay, and my second part of the question also pertains to the fire inspection. My trailer was a barbecue trailer at one time. Okay, now are the ones that are grandfathered in without having to have a fire suppression system, does that go by the business name or the owner name?
It goes by the vehicle.
By the vehicle, the VIN number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I was to go from, like, say, barbecue to hot dogs, I would be still grandfathered in. And I know you said that you don't have to have the suppression system or anything under 20 pounds of propane, correct?
Right.
Thank you.
So yeah,
anything under 20 pounds of propane. So we're talking like your camping stove,
Right.
Type situation. Any propane cylinder like your barbecue grill at home, that's gonna require a fire inspection.
Right.
So
But I would still be grandfathered in for the suppression system if all I'm gonna have is a flat top grill, right?
yes, if you're not changing ownership and you're not changing the general use of it, it's the same vehicle, yes, you'd be still grandfathered in.
Okay, the business name may change, but the owner itself attached to that bin is gonna be the same.
Yes, that would work.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that part of it, you know.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Let's take some in the back. Okay. Yeah, I think we're all pointing to the website right now to get that question answered. They do have a lot of information on the website. Hopefully it helps with that.
I have one more question. You mentioned for the category 2 will be more prioritized for the processing. What about category 3?
Okay, let's talk about terminology, and that got a little mixed up a little bit earlier. So, category 1 is what? Everybody repeat. What is that? People that already have a what? Permit. Already have a permit. Permit 2 is for what? People that don't have a permit. Okay, that's the 2 categories there. What also the state will talk about is types. Types are based on risk. Risk 1, 2, 3. Risk 1 being the lowest. Those are those push carts. The lady's operation over here, she's just simply handing someone some prepackaged food that was commercially prepackaged. She's not handling food. It's all there's no handling at all really in that. Type 2 would be you're doing a cook and serve, things like that for the most part. And then type 3, you're actually reheating and those type of things. And all these types are on the website that Dishes has that explains that. And Michelle did read that, but I would have you go back and look at, it says, there's a title that says licensing by physical requirements and type, but they're risk-based categories. Yes, in the back.
Hi, yeah, so we have a business located in Bastrop. How would that work for the inspection? Because since we're based out there, would we have to come for the inspection here? Or do we have to stay over there? Because we're mainly located over there. And I don't know how the fire marshal or like the Austin fire, or do we have to get extra inspections over there with the fire marshals in Bastrop? Or I don't know if you guys...
Yeah, and that's a great question because not everybody signed a contract with the state, right? So they're obviously going to have you go to to a place that's going to offer you an inspection, right? So we don't know how this is all going to pan out with the state. That's all in their decision. We know that once you get the letter that says our names that we're going to work with you to get that inspection done and completed. That's the only thing we can tell you right now. Those are great questions. We have those same questions, and we don't know. We know we're the first large city in the state of Texas to sign a contract with the state. How's that? We're the first large city, so Austin Public Health. So, and we were hesitant to do this because there's so many unknowns, right? But you know, your health and the safety and the importance of our economy, all those reasons are reason to say, you know what, we may not look great by just stepping out and doing whatever we can because we don't have all the answers and how this is going to work. We really wanted to commit to that. So I applaud my leadership and the leadership of the city of Austin for moving forward and signing that contract with the state. So at least we have a place so we can work together as best we can and work with the state to kind of get this streamlined. Next question in the back. Haven't heard from you yet, sir.
Hi, 2 questions for health. You mentioned 13 a month. Austin Public Health.
Yes.
Just for
It is, yes. And we have renewal up 4 more years after that. So we can renew it up to 4 more years. So the contract is a 5-year contract. The first year is a longer one. It's a 32-month contract. So yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood your question. So I thought you're asking a question not about our contract with the state. You're asking about what? Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yes. So the initial inspection will be handled by Austin Public Health.
Correct.
State licensing.
Yes.
And then 1 year from now, there's 13 months. You know, it's like okay, is during this first year, is Austin going out and doing the routine inspections, or is it state?
Yes, and so that's a good question. And so obviously this year we only have so much money to work with because they are paying us to do this. They want us to focus heavily on these permitting inspections, make sure we have sufficient monies. That's their focus this year, getting everything up and going. And then tentatively the plan is now, because right now everything's fluid, right? Things to be changing weekly, rolling this out. But tentatively, the majority of our inspections, because there's no mandatory pre-licensing inspection anymore after this first one with the state, most of that focus will be on just routine inspections.
Final part. There seems to be some separation of responsibilities, specifically central preparation facility.
Yes.
There's now, the terminology is now CPF and a new one, servicing area. Do you have any other?
Yeah, and so if you look at, none of those terms are new. Servicing area, we have some chatter back here. Keep it down, please. Thank you. So those terms are not new, and servicing area was always part of the definition of a central preparation facility. We have a number of those here in the city of Austin, and so they can come in and dump your liquid waste there at the central preparation facility. Some are even set up, you can actually shop there, store your foods there, all sorts of different types of central preparation facilities and the services they provide. But those are necessary facilities that mobiles that are handling food and exposed food and can't keep everything on the mobile. They'll need that central preparation facility agreement, and that's part of that application process with the state. And remember, this is a wonky bill as far as this stuff. There's a lot of things that were not thought of. So we will likely, as this continues, if this gets awkward, we are going to work with legislators to get this cleaned up regarding central preparation facilities, because this is what I can tell you now. And I have Adrian Papp here somewhere with our areas over there. He's with our Austin Water folks, and so they're very interested in keeping our sewers clean, because if you're going to any restaurant anywhere and use it as a central preparation facility, it's possible that those additional grease-laden water waste will clog the sewers if you don't have a sufficiently sized grease trap. So for the city of Austin, if you are a central preparation facility in the city of Austin, nothing is changing. You will need to go through and get that WEIRS number, make sure you have a properly sized grease trap. We will not issue a central preparation facility at our office until we get that WEIRS number from Austin Water. And so that's not a new requirement. We're not changing anything at all. And we verified that. We did run that question a couple weeks ago past the state. They realized it's a little wonky. They could be saying that's a great place to take that you can use. They're not going to work with Austin or any other city on whether or not it's permitted. We will be, no one can utilize or offer central preparation facilities in the city of Austin unless they have a WEIRS number. That's the way to work in the city of Austin.
Can I do a closeout?
Yes.
As we start to wrap up, I want to say that there's a lot more questions out there. There's a lot of resources available for you. You've seen plenty of information on how best to get from the state for the health. The QR code, which I don't know if you can zoom in on for our online members, we're going to actually give the cameraman something to do, and I'm going to read it out for people. It is www.austintexas, all spelled out, .gov/fire-mobile-food-vending-inspections, hence why we have a QR code. That will take you to a website that has our frequently asked questions. It has a link to the Travis County Fire Marshal's food inspection site if you're operating there, which has information on how to contact them. It has email address. It's got phone numbers. We are here with you to figure out how this all goes. There is no way we were going to answer everyone's questions here today. We'll stick around and answer some on the back, but reach out to us, get informed, and do it earlier rather than waiting until the last minute. That's going to set us up all for success. Thank you all.
Thank you. It looks like we have one more comment. Okay. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
To the cameraman?
I'm Jay Porter. I'm Division Manager for Utility Compliance Services for Austin Water. So the question came up about central prep facilities, and while that stays the same, I know a lot of you food truck vendors also had the ability to use liquid waste haulers to haul waste. That it's important for you guys. There's some rogue people out there that are not permitted. We permit all liquid waste haulers. And you guys can also be held responsible. You need a manifest. If someone's not leaving you a manifest, also I would suggest that if you're going to hire a liquid waste hauler, that you have their permit, that they supplied the permit with you, so you know you're using someone legal, because we don't know where the waste is going if they're not manifesting that waste. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, last person that's in the hallway, if you have any questions about small business, we have Small Business Administration here as well. I mean, the City of Austin really turned out. We've been planning this meeting for a while to try to support this change and talk about what this might do. And so I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank you everybody downstairs. Thank you for those for online. Thank you for our team. And thank you, mobile food vendors, for supporting the live music capital of the world and all you do. Thank you very much.